Hi everybody, happy Saturday. So while Matt is at his chorus rehearsal for the Christmas pageant, I decided to make my video for reading plans for the rest of the year and progress for the various TBRs. So basically what my reading plans for November and December are is wrapping up all of the ongoing thematic TBRs I have had throughout the year. This includes memoir, Disney princess, books recommended by Sarah without an H and Riley Marie, books I read in school that I'm reading for the second time to see if my opinion changes, Reese's Book Club, etc. So, I will probably be doing many thematic focus videos reporting on my progress for my reading throughout the month, but I'm also participating in the Nonfiction November Challenge on A Book Olive's channel, and I'm going to talk about those books first, actually, because I wanted to share my progress. The first book that I read for this TBR is Cultish by Amanda Montell, and it's about the language of cults and how cults get you to join them. This book was a DNF. I just found it to be boring and not very interesting to me at all. So I gave it 2.5 to 3 stars on Goodreads. The next book is called It's What I Do, and A Photographer's Life of Love and War by Lindsay Addario. So this is a photographer's memoir about her experiences with photographing the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I gave this book 4.75 stars on Goodreads because I just loved seeing all the pictures of the scenery of the different countries and also the families that are affected in war-torn countries. So, the next book I'm reading for the Nonfiction November TBR is The Violinist's Thumb by Sam Keen. I will read you what this book is about. Did the human race almost go extinct? Can genetics explain a cat lady's obsessive love for felines? How does DNA lead to people with no fingerprints and children born with tails? What can our genes tell us about John F. Kennedy's bronze skin? It wasn't just a tan, and Einstein's remarkable genius. And how did the right combination of genes create the explicitly flexible thumbs and fingers of a truly singular violinist? In A Violinist's Thumb, Sam Keen's exploration of these and other questions, we learn that there's enough DNA in a single cell to stretch 6 feet and enough DNA in our bodies to stretch almost to the moon. Somewhere in the tangle of stands are the answers to many historical mysteries about human beings that were once thought lost forever. Unraveling the genetic code hasn't been easy. From its earliest days of genetics has been rife with infighting and backstabbing and controversial theories. But now scientists can finally read the astounding stories described in our DNA, stories millions of years old. Among them, for how human beings barely managed to conquer the earth eons ago. As we make advances in DNA mapping, modification, genetics will continue to be the hottest topic in science and shaping the very makeup of our bodies and the world around us. And with the same masterful combination of science, history, and cultural context, he brought to the New York Times bestseller The Disappearing Spoon. Sam Keen untangles the scenes of our genetic code, experiencing how genetics has colored our past and how DNA will determine humankind's future. Right now, in this book, I am on chapter 8, and, I think it might end up being a DNF just because I'm not a very scientific-minded person, and a lot of the stuff that they talk about in this book goes over my head. So if you are more if you lean more towards liking science, I think you would like this book. It's not for me. The book on this TBR that Olive put together that I'm actually most excited to read is Finishing the Hat, which is a book about the musical Sunday in the Park with George that includes like sheet music in it. So I'm very excited to read that one. The next book is part of my Reese's Book Club TBR. It was her pick for May, and it is called How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwan. I made it up to chapter 8 before I had to DNF because the relationship in this book between these two characters seemed very forced to me. It's too insta-lovey, and it's also trauma bonding because the guy accidentally hit the main girl's sister with his car because she jumped in front of it because she wanted to commit suicide. So yeah, this book is basically about a screenwriter who is adapting one of her books to become a movie or a TV show, and as I just said, the male love interest is the guy who accidentally killed her sister with his car, and he is one of the script writers for the TV show. So I just couldn't get into this because I just didn't find a relationship very believable. So with Reese's Book Club, her book club choices for this year so far for me, based on the ones I've read, have been pretty middle of the road. This one was a DNF. The Most Fun We Ever Had was a DNF. The Unwedding was a DNF. Looking for Smoke, the YA pick for last month, was 5 stars. And Anita Del Monte, Laughs Last, and Redwood Court were 4 stars. And First Lie Wins was also a DNF. So the next books that I have to read for Reese's Book Club are September's pick. Comfort of Crows was 3.5 to 4 stars. That was September's pick. October's pick, Society of Lies, I'm still waiting for. I still need to read Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell, which was August's pick. November's pick, We Were Jaguars, is currently on hold list at my library. And the other book that I still have to read so I can be all caught up on Reese's Book Clubs is The Clips by J. Courtney Sullivan, which was July's pick. So probably by the end of this month, I will be all caught up with Reese's Book Club picks, and I'll be able to give a full wrap-up by probably December 20th once I read the December book. The next book I wanted to talk about is The Shining. I read The Shining as part of my thriller horror dark academia mystery TBR for October. I gave it 3.5 to 4 stars on Goodreads. Matt and I rated the movie in the B tier of our Halloween movie tier list that we talked about in our video where we talked about Halloween movies and the 1-year anniversary of Matthew Perry's death, which you can find on his channel. It will be linked in the description. I also mentioned The Shining in my book superlatives video that I made that will be out on the 7th. And I picked in the category, this book was in 2 categories for superlatives: favorite child character and most atmospheric. And this will be part of my TBR for my serious issues in the media subset for nonfiction November, which focuses on substance use disorder because Jack Torrance is alcoholic. The next book was recommended to me by Sarah without an H and Riley Marie. It is called A Girl in Red by Christina Henry. This is my second book by Christina Henry after The House on Horror Built. Both of these books got 5 stars. This is a modern retelling of Little Red Riding Hood that is based in like post-apocalyptic time. So that's a really interesting twist to put on things. And I mean, I finished this book in one sitting. I could not stop reading it because I wanted to see what happened next. That's what is so good about Christina Henry's writing. It hooks you from the very beginning, so you can't stop reading and you're dying to know what happens next. So the next book that I want to read by her is called Lost Boy, which is a gay romance between Peter Pan and Captain Hook, which was also recommended to me by Riley Marie. The next book is in the Twisted Tales series, which is basically retellings of all the Disney movies if the movies were to end differently. And this book focuses on Wendy running away with Captain Hook, which is interesting. I like it so far, but I don't think I would rate it as highly as I've rated some of the other books in this series. The other books I read in this series are Part of Your World, which is based on The Little Mermaid, 5 stars. Concealed Don't Feel, which is based on Frozen, 4.5 stars. Unbirthday, which is based on Alice in Wonderland, which is 3.5 stars, and I also just finished reading. So this is Love, which is based on Cinderella, which is 3.5 stars. And there's another book in another fairy tale retelling series by Emily McIntyre called Hooked, which is another book where Wendy gets into a relationship with Peter Pan, which I have been meaning to read, with Cindy actually had it on her worst list of 2023 for last year, but I am intrigued to read it just to see what I can compare it to this one. Right now in this book, I am on, the cover's gonna come off. I am on page 129, and I would have to say that based on where I am right now in this book, it would probably be 3 to 3.5 stars. The last book I wanted to talk about today is Witches Steeped in Gold by Sienna Smart. This book was recommended to me by Carrie Can Read. She gave it a pretty middle of the road rating. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars based on where I am in the book right now. I'm on chapter 27, page 257. I will read you what this is about. Ira Adair has spent her life in a cell, heir to an overthrown and magically gifted dynasty. She was exiled from her home on the island nation of Aika when just a child. But every day brings her closer to freedom and vengeance. Jasmine Carriot grew up dressed in gold with stolen magic at her fingertips. Daughter of the self-crowned Dione, her existence is that a threat to her mother's rule, but unlike her sister before her, Jasmine has no intention of dying to strengthen her mother's power. Sworn enemies, the two witches enter a deadly alliance to take down a woman who threatens to both their worlds, Dione Carriot. But revenge is a bloody purist, and nothing is certain except the lengths of Uriah and Jasmine to go to win this game. So I decided to read this book because I am trying to learn about different cultures and their folklore and fairy tales, because since I am since I have been so focused for the past year since Matthew Perry died with writing the fan fiction to remember him, I figure I need to step aside from writing so much fan fiction in general and focus more on my children's book manuscript and writing a fairy tale. So this book that Carrie Can Read recommended is based on Jamaican folklore, and I have read a couple of other books which I'm going to reread for this TBR. One that is based on Polish folklore, which I read in May for my Taylor Swift TBR, which is called Where the Dark Stands Still, which I gave 5 stars to. And another mini novella that I read that is called When Among Crows by Veronica Roth, who wrote Divergent, that is based on Polish folklore. So that is, and I also just finished reading The Penguin Book of Mermaids, which is basically the book that inspired Disney's Little Mermaid, like the fairy tale that the Disney movie is based on is in that book. So I got to read the original Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale that The Little Mermaid is based on, which has a sad ending, unlike the Disney movie. For those of you who don't already know, Ariel dies and becomes sea foam at the end of the original fairy tale, so Disney definitely took liberties with the ending, because as we all know, the Disney movie ends with Ariel marrying Prince Eric, and then in the sequel movie they have a daughter named Melody. So yeah, for other books in this TBR, I am going to be reading, I have a book on a bookcase over there that's about Irish folklore that's really that I can't wait to look through, and maybe Matt and I can work on something together where we write an Irish fairy tale or something. I'll have to ask him about that later. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I will be checking in with more reading progress updates probably somewhere around 22nd or 23rd, right before Thanksgiving. Until then, Matt and I have a video coming out tomorrow where we wrap up our Serious Issues in the Media series, and I have a supplementary content video that is being published around the same time that is basically a tier list of how I feel Friends and various movies and TV shows with Friends actors in them tackled serious issues. So, and then our first half of our fall entertainment wrap-up will be out right before Thanksgiving, so that way we can enjoy the holiday with our family. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching.